Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Tom Meyers, an osteopath, body centered stress coach, futurist, author, and the founder of the Reaset Approach, right? Based in Brussels, Belgium. Tom has dedicated his career to helping people navigate uncertainty, embrace change, and prepare for the future with confidence. After overcoming personal setbacks, including a failed business and being told he would never amount to much, he rebuilt his life by focusing on what he calls his DNA for the future. Today inspires individuals and organizations to flourish in a rapidly changing world by combining insights from health, human potentials, and future thinking. Tom, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a privilege to be
All right.
interviewed by you.
Oh, thank you, Tom. So I'm curious, right? Did I pronounce this correctly? Reset, the reset approach or reset?
It's reset approach. Yeah.
Reset.
So the word in the middle is ease. So
Oh,
ease. So if you
mm.
think about the R in the T, so the R stands for return to
Mm,
ease. And it's an amalgam of the word reset and ease.
I see.
And it's like, we are talking a lot about stress and about relaxation. That's fine. But actually, what's in between, the capacity to adapt and manage change, that's where health resides. And because
Mm,
if you're permanently in stress or mostly in stress or you're mostly in relaxation, well, that's not a good state to be in. You have to be at ease. And at
mm,
ease can be used in your body, and but also in the mind spheres. So when you are when you have an easy spirit, when you're not pondering all the time, what's happening, or you're too relaxed, from
mm,
whatever. Those are not ideal states to for health. So
mm.
yeah, thank you for
Wow.
asking.
All right. So, basically, the basic state of mind is ease, right? The most peaceful state of mind, or should I say, a state of mind we are supposed to be in is that of ease, right?
That's a perfect description. Yeah, I had never thought it that way, but yes. And as an osteopath, what people today come with, neck, shoulder, back pain, and when I ask them
Mm,
what happened, nothing, and that's so that that they're not at the body is not at ease, right?
mm.
It's full of tension. So,
Wow.
and you bring them back into that ease. So where there are where they, as you say, where they can express health, and where the body can express health, where they can think clearly, where we have in a moment's notice, we can do this and that, and that is the strength in this fast changing world today, is the
Mm,
capacity to adapt and manage change,
mm.
right?
Right.
Biologically, psychologically, socially, spiritually, economically, you know and we need to find ways to return to ease,
Mm,
because the world is a very stressful,
mm,
anxiety-full,
mm,
and a place where we have little repairs of and anchors, because everything is changing so fast.
mm. Wow. All right. So thank you, Tom. I was thinking, right? Because this generation, younger generation today, there's so much anxiety out there, constant overthinking, constantly thinking of, what the future holds, trying to have everything figured out. So almost being in a state of ease feels like it feels impossible, or sometimes it feels like, wow, I'm in a state of ease today, so this is a good day, right? So we are not used to it. So I remember speaking with a friend that she was like, oh, I feel so, I've been feeling so good for the past 2 days. I have not had to worry about anything. I'm just happy. I feel hyper and I'm scared because of that. I was like, are you serious? She said, yes, she's scared because she feels like after this ease will come depression, a very great depression, because it's not supposed to be that way, right? So,
So they're stressed because they're not stressed.
right. So I've never heard that one before, but like I was surprised to hear it. So
Yeah, but
what do you think is the reason behind that actually?
yeah, but also there are these examples where we think
Mm,
that the good behavior is frowned upon, and it's been a few years there. But for example, in an office, you can't smoke inside, so people have to go outside to smoke, right?
mm,
And it's accepted, right? But as somebody
right.
that doesn't smoke, that does not smoke, he goes for a little break. He's frowned upon. Say, what are you going to do? I'm going to take a
Mm,
break. And then people are looking for, you can't do that. And it's like, so if for something that is good for your health, like taking a break now and then, is frowned upon, and going to smoke is absolutely fine. It's your right to do that. It's like,
mm.
where has this world come to?
Honestly.
When
Wow.
positive behavior is frowned upon and say from no, you cannot do that. And then when bad behavior is say from yeah, that's right. Woo, fantastic. Sorry. Yeah.
Honestly. Wow.
Oh,
I totally understand that, honestly. And like I said, right, we are also used to stress that we feel like not being stressed is almost like a danger sign that, there's a greater stress coming, right? Which I think is really, really, it's a mental thing, honestly, that we need to, work on, basically. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and working on that because stress is actually from a biological evolutionary perspective
Mm,
something that is normal in the sense from our body and our software, I call it our software, is an anticipation machine for negative things and for our survival. So it's always looking for what is not going well, what is going to be
mm,
dangerous, what is going to affect me. And rarely will it look like the positive side of life. Because why
mm,
spend energy on something that's positive, which is not dangerous, which is, I don't need to prepare for that. And of course, so this is something we need to do, because we can't stay in a permanent state of stress because that has effects on our health, well-being, on our behavior, on our our social behavior as well. If because and when you're stressed, are more short-tempered, we become more aggressive, reactive, and less tolerant of difference of other people. And so we need to work on the balance, that something that is done automatically, your stress response is automatic, you don't have to do anything for that. uh, but we need to complement that with something we need to do, and we have a responsibility to come into ease, by doing the things that are actually relaxing, and push the buttons of relaxation, recuperation, and regeneration, because it's something that doesn't come to us naturally. It's
mm.
a job. It's something that we need to do, and we forget that.
Right. Emphasis on we forget that, right? So, talking about your work, right? You often encourage people to prepare for the future instead of fearing it. So, what is the first, or should I say, what first sparks your passion for, futures thinking?
Yeah, well, futures thinking has pulled me out of my state of unhappiness and 26 years ago, and so it was a strange thing that you think that the future of futures thinking will pull me out of a vicious circle that I got myself into. And The baseline is that if we don't know where we are going, if we don't know what we need and want the future to be, how can we make the right choices, decisions, and actions? You know, if we go to university, for example, first you think about what do I want and need, you know, what
Mm,
kind of education, what kind of degree do I want to do whatever you want to do. And so you make a sort of a decision from, oh, let's do this. That's the course. And then you step back and then you make a decision. Okay, that's where we are going. And then from
mm,
then onwards, your choices, your decision actions to do the course, to do those years, to do your exams, it all leads you to that future. If you want to build a house, it's the same thing, right? You tell somebody, an architect, from I want to build a house, and he doesn't do that from nothing. No, you give him parameters to say from this so many rooms, this is the land, and so forth. You have to give them a framework of things that do not change, that do not alter, so that he can start making a blueprint. And this is what we don't have today. We don't have this kind of vision of our individual future. What do we need and want, especially in this fast changing world? What do we need and want to be able to adapt and manage the change? And also in general to, you know, what makes us feel in our element, make us feel content, what fulfills our aspirations. We don't think about these things. We're being pushed forward into a direction, que sera, whatever will be. We don't have any agency over our future, and so forth. And that's not true. So it's like the quote from the film. I can't remember anymore, but with Tom Hanks, and you say life is like a box of chocolates. We never know what you're gonna get. Sorry,
mm,
but that's not true.
mm,
You know, and in to say it in another way, in business way, and this is a quote from Jeff Bezos from Amazon. He said in an interview, so many people ask me what is going to change in the next 10 years. And young people are asking a lot of that question as well. What is going to change? What is going to change? So much is changing. How can I control that? And Jeff Bezos says, but that's not the right question. The
mm,
question you have to ask yourself is, what doesn't change? Because what doesn't change, you can build on. There are many things
mm,
that don't change. And we always focus on what changes. No, you have to focus on what doesn't change. And this is what I'm an advocate for. And I call it creating a DNA for your future. A DNA stands for that what does not alter. DNA does not alter, but can be expressed in different ways. So for your audience and for the young people who fear the future or are anxious about the future and about the changes, it's about stop. You're only thinking about what changes, but there are many things that don't change. What are those things? And if I may continue, it's about yourself first. And
mm,
so it's about thinking, what doesn't change? You know, what do you want to feel? Your aspirations, your potential. Do you really think, so I want to feel content, fulfilled, and healthy? Do you really think at 90 or 100, I'm 55 now, do you really think I don't want to feel content, fulfilled, and healthy? Don't you really think that I don't want to, my aspirations to have a great future? So a good, resilient, evolvable, actionable, transcendent future, doing the things with meaning and purpose. Do you really think at 90 that I don't want that? Of course I do. So that does not alter. So, but I have decided, I've written it down that this is what I want to feel, and these are my aspirations. These are right for me. And I've written this down more than a decade ago, right? And
mm,
the middle is the potential. You're born with your potential, you die with your potential. So everybody is made for something, and everybody can be good at something, but you have to find you can be good at what, and
mm,
that's potential. And this is something, again, Potential does not alter, but can be expressed in different ways. I found out when I was 29, I had a charcuterie shop. So I was selling cheese, wines, cold cuts. And when I hit the wall and I really felt imprisoned and I was not in the right place, I was not in my element. And through coaching, I found out I was a therapist. What was I
Mm,
doing selling charcuterie and cheese? I was born to be a therapist, a communicator, a teacher, a researcher, a traveler. I found that out. And I was expressing none of that. Well, no wonder I was not feeling in my element. No wonder I was having mental health issues and physical issues. You
mm,
see, and that comes all together. When you think about the future, you need to find first with what can you create the future?
mm,
Because it's so important to start thinking about the base, who you are, what you want, what you need, and especially what you need.
mm. Wow. Ooh, all right. So thank you so much for that, Tom. Personally, I would like to say I've learned from what you just said, honestly. Like you said, find something you're good at, right? Find something you're good at. You need to start making plans for your future. I know there's something as I remember a guest told me, right? Wherever you are today is as a result of the decisions you made then, right? So wherever you would be in the future, it will be as a result of decisions or actions you take today. So you have to plan for your future. And like you said, you need to you spoke about the DNA, right? Which means does not alter, but can only be expressed, right? So that is one thing one needs to, look out for, things that does not alter but can be expressed. And when you look out for that, make sure you bank on it, right? Work on it, and you just become better, basically. So,
Yeah, yeah, walk
right.
it, walk the talk, walk the
Hmm.
talk. But the talk is, who are you?
Hmm.
Walk. You know, it's because you in your your the conversations you have, and it's also about chasing big dreams, but whose dream?
Hmm.
you know Chasing big dreams is great, but make sure it's your dream, and
Wow.
that your dream is based on your potential, not on something that you are not, because then you will be
Hmm.
chasing all your life, and at the end of the road you will look back and say, ah, that was not what I supposed to be doing, and then it's too late, right?
Hmm.
So many people, and I've done this as well. I lived other people's lives because I did not know what I was, what potential I had. So I was looking at others. Oh, I want this, I want that, and I want it like him, and I chased after it. And of course, I just got more down the rabbit hole instead of evolving as a person, because it was not mine; it was theirs. And we should be grateful that friends, family, and people have what they have and that they have the success. Uh, I'm grateful for them. But I wanted what they had, but I wanted, and I did it their way, but not my way. And that did not work.
Right. Wow. Oh, all right. So basically, it's important to make conscious decisions that are for your own good, right? For your own benefit. Because, I mean, looking at some jobs today, most people, I feel like the job they are currently working, they don't even like it, right? And I keep asking myself, how long do you intend doing this, right? So it's important to put in those factors, whatever decision you're making, make sure it's what will be beneficial to you at the end of the day, and make sure it's what you like as well, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and but also sometimes there are periods of life,
Mm,
like when I converted from, I was trained as a chef, I worked in hotels and restaurants as a waiter and a sommelier, and then ended up in my shop, to a therapist. I had a 5, 6 year training that I needed to go through, and I needed to pay for that. right? So
Mm.
I worked in, in an admin job, in many admin jobs, um, but I knew there was a means to an end. And so I did the job so I could do and develop myself.
Mm.
And so it's a very important, so not to just quit your job, right? You need a roof over
Yeah.
your head, you need to be able to eat. So be careful, not to do things drastically. And the
Drastically.
second thing is like, okay, yes, it's about us and developing our and evolving ourselves, but never forget that we are in a society, right? We are society. We
Mm.
are an individual and society. So when we do things, we may and when we choose things and when we start thinking about creating a DNA for the future and futurizing ourselves, that we're also thinking from a perspective not from the egoistic, individualistic point of view, right? It's yes, we need to do
Yeah.
something ourselves, but it also need to be in alignment, or it must also be part of society because we are society. And if you just
Mm.
do it for your own ego and for your own bank balance, well, it's not going to give you the fulfillment and contentment that you're actually seeking.
Mm. Wow. Ooh, all right. So yes, thank you, Tom. This has been amazing, honestly. And yeah, it's your book, right? I want us to talk about your book. Okay,
Ye-
so it's called it's called Futurize Yourself, right? So you introduce the idea of creating a future version of yourself. So my question now is, how can someone begin, creating like a future version of themselves? How can they begin doing it today in like practical ways, more like habits, right?
Yeah. So in the book that I've updated and re-edited, and it will come out again on the 14th of September. By the way, pre-order for the ebook is $1. It's not much, right?
Mm.
$1 until the 14th of September. But in that, you have a part which is I describe my experience, so biography, and with questions about, hey, how do you think about this and how do you think about that? And then part two is about you. And there is four stages in this. And the first
Mm.
stage is what I call introspection. First, the first thing to do is to think about, okay, where am I? And what's the conflict? What's the mismatch today? And what gives me the fear, the anxiety, the disorientation? Uh, what is it that I want to change? And you could see it like two wheels that are uh, turning in the opposite direction. And
Mm.
you also have to describe what do you want instead. And that, in my case, I describe it as two wheels that are running and synchronously. And
Mm.
so you have the conflict and the synchronous, and we have to think about this, right? Because many people know what they don't want, but they don't know what they want. And it's
Mm.
important to know what you want instead of what you don't want. Uh, because how else are you going to, what else are you going to work for? Okay, so step one, what's a conflict or what's the mismatch? What do you want instead?
Mm.
Then the second step is you retrospection is on how did you get into that conflict? And what's your story? And the story, what we're seeing is often that we have limiting beliefs or carry metaphors that are wrong and that are limiting our potential. Okay? In my case, it was, I'm good for nothing. My shop was failing. Look at it. I'm good for nothing, and I will be good for nothing for the rest of my life. But of course, then, and I had coaching in this to do this process, and and from that I learned that I may be good at nothing, but I can become good at something. And as soon as that change of mindset uh, happened, then suddenly the future was much more brighter, right? So,
Mm.
so it's like in the other book, the Futures Effects, the title is change your story, change your future. So by changing my story, I changed my future, because from then onwards, I started to have a different perspective, and it influenced my choices, decisions, and actions. Anyway, so that's step two, retrospection. Three, we are talking about introspection. And so
Mm,
now it's about creating that DNA for your future. It's about finding out what you want to feel, your aspirations that you want to have. I always say, think about the last day of your life and you look back, what do you want to have fulfilled? And I mean internally, not I want to have a house, I want to have a car, I want to have whatever that is outside of you. No, internally. Because when you die, you don't take anything with you except for what you've, you know, for the experiences that you have created, right? So, and then it's your potential. What are you born with as potential, as talents or skills, whatever you want to call it. And so once you have that, and it's also that part that is associated probably with what you want. If you
mm,
develop that, because how can you be content, fulfilled, and healthy, or feel in your element if you're not expressing your element, if you don't express your
mm,
potential, if you're working outside your potential? So you see already the relationship between the creation of your DNA and also what you want. And then the fourth step, future inspection, is to create and envision an image of the future where you say, okay, in 10 years' time, I wake up and you imagine that potential, how it could be expressed in a sort of loose kind of way, so that you can have a north star or a future focus, or that is now the the direction in which you can walk from now onwards. And I give you an example. So I found out that I was a therapist, a communicator, a teacher, a researcher, and a traveler. And so uh, when I was asked, imagine an ideal day in 10 years' time, I had all the excuses not to do it. From what, 10 years' time, I have problems today, and I don't even know if I'm going to live tomorrow, and my business is failing, and I need money now. But I was, I was very intimidated by the coach, and that was good. And so I did my homework and I started thinking, okay, so if I have this potential, what can it become? And really like a third person perspective. So this was not me. And I said, okay, in a story short, okay, I wake up and I'm a therapist who has developed his own approach, who has written a book about it, and who is asked around the world to give presentations and workshops. So
mm,
that's all my potential into a phrase. And I did not say osteopath, right? And I did need to say which technique or that I was going to develop or which book I was going to write. No. And because again, we're talking about DNA, does not alter, but can be expressed in different ways. So
mm,
therapy today is osteopathy. When I'm 90, I'm listening to the nurses in the retirement home, maybe, but I will be a therapist for the rest of my life. So that's the four steps. It's a bit of a long story, but there is no quick answer, right? There is no do this and the rest of your life and your problems will go away. Uh,
mm,
no, it doesn't work like that. And I'm very honest about it. So it's a bit of a work, but if you do the basis, I know I've done this like 26 years ago. Uh, and look, I'm still doing it. But the benefits, the meaning, the purpose, the kind of hopeful living and rational living. And so protopian, they call it. I'm protopian. And so I'm not into kind of utopia, no. And I'm not dystopian either. I'm a protopian. I think I take a positive perspective, but realistic perspective.
mm. Wow. Woo.
Woohoo!
All right.
What a journey!
Honestly, what a journey, actually. And I'm just so glad that I get to, learn from you, actually. And the audience also, they get to learn from you. And, you mentioned four steps, although I didn't quite catch the last one. Oh, you said what
Futurespection. Futurize
futurispection.
yourself. That's the
All
futurize
right.
yourself, right? But to
Okay.
futurize yourself, it's a whole process of introspection, retrospection, introspection, and futurespection. That's a futurize yourself process.
Hmm. Wow. Whew. All right. I'm taking notes just so you know. This is something I would have to go and, just study and
Yes.
just try my best to make, conscious efforts, right? To
Get
become.
my book, $1. That's all it
Wow.
costs.
Wow. It's actually quite
One
affordable. It's affordable, actually.
affordable.
$1.
It's nearly for free.
It's almost for free. Honestly, it's almost for
But
free.
it's because
Wow.
I, from now, okay, you need publicity around the book, but also
Mm,
I want to give people that listen to the podcast a chance
mm,
to, for everybody in society to say from, okay, this is what I want, this is what I need, I want to read this, you know, and to give them a chance to do that.
right.
And,
Wow.
and this is
Oh,
my gift you know, to you as
everyone.
well in a way with your podcast because thank you so much for inviting me and for having this fun conversation. It's absolutely wonderful and about a serious topic.
Oh wow. All right, thank you, Tom. And and hearing the price of your book, I know definitely I'm gonna have to get one myself because I feel like the book would explain more, right? It's gonna explain more and it will walk you through the steps needed, basically. And yes, talking about your book, Tom, finally, where can listeners get to,
Okay, you
learn
can
more about it,
yeah.
right? And also grab the book. Yeah.
So most people, will be able to find it on Amazon, of course, Amazon, or go to futurizeyourself.com, and futurize is with a Z. Uh, yourself.com, and there you'll find some links. There you'll find also the ISBN numbers that you can buy it even in your local library. Um, so and in your local bookshop. So it's all there. Futurizeyourself.com. Also, so people want to connect with me on LinkedIn, they're very welcome. Um, and just say I listened to this wonderful conversation with Sekani and hosted by Sekani, and I would love to hear from them. And by the way,
Oh, man.
what about you? Okay, the book will only be out in September, but what about you
September.
reading it and then you connect with me again and then have another
Ooh,
conversation about it? What
another
about that?
book. Oh, okay. That sounds great, actually. That means I'm
Well,
gonna come with a lot of questions for you
yeah, maybe
regarding
it
the
won't be
book.
a half an hour interview, but
Mm.
no, but hey, let's create that moment, and I would love to
Okay.
do that. Just to give
Mm.
you, because I'm a white boy, right?
Right.
Right, and I live in Brussels, Belgium, Europe. So I have a certain vision, and I write from my experience. So, but
Mm.
maybe it's also interesting from how do you,
From my
you're
perspective.
from a
But,
different continent. How do you
mm,
with a different culture? How do you look at this? Is
mm,
it? And I think it is transferable. It's human. It's for the world. So it's not culturally dependent. That's what I want it to be anyway. Maybe it
wow.
even fits
Okay.
aliens. Who know?
Actually. All right, Tom. Honestly, I'm actually gonna, check out the book. And like I said, I would reach out once I'm done so we could, discuss and I could give you my point of view. Because you're actually right. We kind of have like a different life. I'm totally in another continent, right? So it's okay for you to, get to hear the point of view from other people as well. Who knows? It could spark a new book, who knows?
But of course, I
All
think,
right. So
it,
thank
it
you,
needs to
Tom.
spark conversation and thoughts and inspiration and all of that. You're welcome.
Mm,
And thank you very much for this absolutely delightful conversation. I really
all
appreciate it.
right. I appreciate it too. And as usual, I'm going to put a link in the show notes so it's easily accessible for listeners. And to my listeners, I'd like to say thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as he did in me. Make sure to share to someone you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, Tom. Do you have a wonderful day ahead of you?
Thank you. And you too have a wonderful future. Take care
Oh,
of your
yeah,
future.
definitely. All right. Take care, Tom.